All right, this is a very special bonus episode of the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast. We're going to be dropping a few of these in your feed all week long. So if you are not subscribed to the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast, make sure you subscribe to that. Make sure you're also subscribed to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. Tony Gerb and I are going to be doing some bonus shows there as well to help get you through what is going to be, I'm sure, feel like a very, very long week for Buckeye fans and Wolverine fans, counting the days, counting the hours, counting the minutes to kick off at noon on Saturday. Today, we're going to be hearing directly from Michigan quarterback JJ McCarthy. He was interviewed on Monday, talked about a whole bunch of different subjects, had some interesting answers. I'm going to let you hear a bunch of those. Not everything, but just sort of the most interesting of the stuff that he sort of talked about. Some of these are short. Some of these are a little longer. Everyone kind of has their own interview style, and McCarthy is not a real particularly long talker for the most part. So let's just dive right into it. What does this game mean to JJ McCarthy? He is not an Ohio native. He is not a Michigan native. So, growing up, what did this game mean to him?
I feel like growing up in the Midwest and being around Big Ten football, it's always something that, Thanksgiving weekend you always tuned into. It was always the game of the week. So just being a part of that as, a youngin', and then, growing up being a fan of both teams and, just always wanted to be a part of this. That's probably the biggest thing I'd say.
All right, here is confession time for JJ McCarthy. He was asked, okay, when you were watching this game as a kid, which team were you rooting for?
I grew up first being an Ohio State fan, I won't lie. I did, but, God had different plans for me and, showed me the way, and I'm very blessed and appreciative to be here. That's for damn sure.
McCarthy's big moment on the national stage came last year when Michigan beat Ohio State in Columbus. But the year before that, he was on the team at Michigan and played a little bit, and he played a decent amount that season, played a little bit in that Ohio State game. What does McCarthy remember about that game in 2021?
It's kind of like the meme. It was cinema. It really was. It was just a movie with the snow falling, with the just crowd. Felt like the crowd, it was really one heartbeat that was meshed with the team. And, just everything about it was just magical. And I don't expect anything less this weekend.
This is the time of year when college football coaches and players who are always pretty guarded about sharing information about their health, they get a little more guarded. So McCarthy was asked, he's been kind of banged up, and he's acknowledged that he's been banged up the last few weeks. He was asked for an update on his health the week of the Ohio State game.
Doing really good. Yeah, last week was a little bit rough, but, I'm doing fantastic right now. Treatment's been great, and, we'll be ready to go.
Michigan has kept winning every week after week after week, but McCarthy has just seemed a little bit off of his game the last few weeks. Is there anything he can put his finger on in terms of what might have caused that?
Just getting more into a rhythm. I feel like that's going to be great. With the touchdowns and all that, I feel like I've just been saving them up. So, we're scoring, we're winning, and that's all I care about.
McCarthy got a chance to stand out as the Michigan's quarterback and making some very big plays last year in Columbus. Blake Corm did not get that chance. He played a little bit in 2021 when he was a backup. In 2022, he was banged up. Got a couple carries at the very beginning of the game and pretty quickly figured out, no, he could not go after suffering a knee injury against Illinois. So what does he bring when he can play for the Wolverines on Saturday against Ohio State?
Blake in and of itself is just, tremendous athlete, tremendous football player, but, adding that extra motivation to this game and, just who he is, it's going to be different Blake out there. I'm already knowing it. So, I'm just excited to see and watch him.
Let's see how diplomatically we can put this. There has been a lot of conversation recently about several recent Michigan teams and why they were so successful when previous Michigan teams perhaps had not been as successful. Hopefully that was diplomatic enough for you. I think we all can read between the lines there. What does the Michigan team think about the conversation around their success in 2021 and 2022 and whether it was tainted?
Nobody sees the work we put in. I really do believe we work the hardest in the entire country, each and every player, each and every coach. And, it's so easy to look at headlines, so easy to, follow a narrative. But when you're in here and you see what's going on, you wouldn't think for a second that it's anything other than hard work, dedication, and execution.
McCarthy put up some big yardage numbers last year against Ohio State and threw a couple long touchdowns against the Buckeyes in the Wolverines' win in the Horseshoe. How much does having that game under his belt, having played a game in this rivalry, help him as he prepares for this year's game?
Huge. I think experience is one of the, greatest edges you can have as a player. And just going into last year, that first drive, just all those emotions that were creeping in, it was something I've never felt before. So now it's predictable, therefore manageable, and I'll know how to, handle my emotions and get them down to where they need to be. And yeah, I just say it does a lot for me, that's for sure.
As we mentioned, McCarthy had a very big game against the Buckeyes last year. This year's Ohio State defense, a very different thing from last year's Ohio State defense. So what in JJ McCarthy's eyes is the difference in this year's Buckeye defense?
They definitely keep a lot more in front of them. They try to make you earn it each and every drive, and I love that because that's what our defense does too. So we've seen it all year and went against it all year. But they're a great defense, athletes all over the board, and it's gonna be a fun one.
JJ McCarthy's numbers have tailed off a little bit the last couple weeks, and there are plenty of theories. Everyone has their own theory as to what's caused it. Is it injury? Is it just better competition? Is it the lack of Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines? Is it the lack of Connor Stallions on the sidelines? Is it Sharon Moore having to multitask? Lots of possible explanations. What does JJ McCarthy think it is?
I think each and every game is unique and different, and I feel like these, past couple of games where Coach Harbaugh hasn't been there have been extremely unique. So just getting on the same page with Coach Moore, making sure that there's no confusion throughout the week with the game plan and what he expects of me, and just, going out there and doing the best I can every single play, no matter what's called, and just doing my job at the end of the day.
One of the things that we anticipated would be a huge storyline this week that has really not gotten talked about all that much, other than the fact that we're talking about the fact that we aren't talking about it as much as we thought we might, is JJ McCarthy and Kyle McCord. Those two were linked in recruiting, both very highly ranked quarterbacks in the class of 2021. Both were interested in going to Ohio State. Ryan Day pointed at Kyle McCord and said, "You're the guy." JJ McCarthy ended up going to Michigan. That has worked out just fine for him as well. But as those guys were sort of on the quarterback circuit, going through the recruiting and the camps and all that stuff when they were in high school, what is JJ McCarthy's relationship with Kyle McCord like? And you're going to hear a quick follow-up from a reporter, and McCarthy will share a little more information.
Kyle's my guy, ever since growing up and going to all these satellite camps and all these rivals, 247 and all that, we were always there together. And we just kind of meshed, had two alike personalities, and just it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really surreal to see him out there in this environment, this game, and just going out there and wish him, safety and make sure he stays healthy. But he's going to give our defense a little bit of some trouble at times, and we got to respond and be able to, attack him in any way possible.
And how much have you interacted with him during the season?
I haven't really interacted with him much. Don't really interact with any other quarterbacks during the season, but I might shoot him a text this week and just see how he's doing, check in.
We mentioned earlier that JJ McCarthy has been banged up. He's had kind of an ankle thing he's been dealing with, it sounds like, and that has meant that his running ability has been limited the last couple of weeks. He had only 2 carries for -7 yards against Maryland. That is very much not what he typically does with the football in his hands in the open field. So what is JJ McCarthy expecting in terms of, is he going to be asked to run this weekend against the Buckeyes?
Who knows what Coach Moore wants and expects out of me, but I would just predict that, we're going to do anything and everything to win this football game, whether it's me running the ball or just throwing the ball. So I feel like things will arise just from scrambling and taking off, but, no matter what he asks of me, I'm just going to go out there and execute.
Saturday's game will be the 6th that Jim Harbaugh has not coached this year for Michigan. He has had a 50% off with Black Friday coming up. Jim Harbaugh has gotten a 50% off deal. By 12 games, only have to coach 6. 3-game suspension at the beginning of the season, 3-game suspension at the end of the season. So the Wolverines have been without their head coach a lot this season, especially on game days. But is this week to JJ McCarthy, is this week different from the previous 5? Because, well, it's Ohio State.
I would say so. Just like the whole process and throughout the day of just not having him there, it was different at first, and just now with that experience and knowing how it works and how the coaches react to certain things and how they go about coaching the game, it's going to be, tremendous for us this Saturday because it's one of the bigger games.
Michigan typically has one of, if not the best offensive lines in the nation. This year, maybe not so much. There has been some shuffling along the offensive line the last couple weeks as they sort of try to figure out those tackle spots. Had some injuries, had some tackles not being able to block defensive ends, which is rather significantly a problem. So how does JJ McCarthy feel about the cohesion of the line as they've had to sort of shuffle guys around a little bit the last couple weeks?
Cohesive is all get out. Those guys are always on the same page. They love each other. They, do whatever they can to just be, one tight unit and go out there every single play to, dominate the man in front of them, protect me, protect the backs, and, doesn't matter who's in there. They're always just one cohesive unit that plays really well.
This is the kind of game that draws the attention of just about everyone, and there are going to be some very famous Michigan alumni in attendance. Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard, they're both part of pregame shows that will be in Ann Arbor for this game. McCarthy has talked in the past about the fact that he texts with Tom Brady every once in a while. So is he hearing from those guys this week? Is he hearing from other big Michigan alumni about this game? And boy, you need to win this game?
No, they're not, because they know exactly what our mindset is. They know what this game means to us, just like it was the same way for them. And, they just know that this is a team that's focused on getting better every single day and doing all the right things. So the text might come, the night before the game where it's just a little pump up or something like that, get our minds right. But, they know exactly what we're about and they trust us, that's for sure.
The Michigan versus everybody slogan has gotten a workout recently. Blake Corm wore a Michigan versus everybody shirt to his interviews, but that's sort of been a rallying cry for the Wolverines this fall, especially as the Jim Harbaugh thing has sort of spread and the Connor Stallions thing has sort of spread. So what does Michigan versus everybody mean to JJ McCarthy?
It really does feel like that. It really does. I feel like it's a blessing in disguise because it's brought us closer as a unit, brought us closer as an organization, as an entire Michigan family. Just all the Michigan faithful reaching out and showing their support. It just means everything to us, and we are so greatly appreciative of it. And, it means a lot that, we have all the Michigan alumni having our back, and it just gives us more motivation to get out here every single day and do our best for those guys, but most importantly for ourselves.
There's a lot on the line this weekend in Ann Arbor. Buckeyes and Wolverines are always playing for bragging rights for the next 12 months. This game also comes with the Big Ten East Championship, a shot at Iowa in the Big Ten Championship, a shot at continuing to be in the top 4 of the college football playoff standings, and a whole lot more. But on a bigger picture scale, how big is this game in terms of defining the narrative around the Michigan program?
Yeah, I would say every single year it's always like that. This game is one of the defining moments for a season, Big Ten East title on the line, and, it defies the future of the program. So we're just going to try our best to keep it simple, focus on day-to-day wins, and, do our best within each snap when the game comes.
When you're playing in a game with all the stuff going on and all the storylines and the top 3 teams and the history of the rivalry, and Michigan just won their 1,000th game and the Jim Harbaugh thing and everything going on right now, how hard is it for JJ McCarthy and his teammates to avoid getting caught up in all of the hype?
No, I wouldn't say so, just because we're so ingrained to just, stay in the present moment and really focus on the task at hand and the day at hand. So, that just goes to credit, Coach Harbaugh and Coach Herb and just the rest of the staff keeping us, in this mindset of just, focusing on the daily victories. It's almost habitual now.
Well, there has been a lot of ink spilled and a lot of words spoken about the Michigan program over the last 6 to 12 months, a couple separate NCAA/Big Ten scandals going on. What bothers JJ McCarthy the most about what's getting said about that Michigan program right now?
It's just like, knowing how much blood, sweat, and tears we put into this season and all the hours that we put in, just being, diluted by, a scandal and all that. It's unfortunate, but it's out of our control. And we only focus on what we can control and try to get better every single day and not worry about that stuff. But it's just unfortunate that, people don't think we put in the work to get to where we are.
Well, that will do it for this episode. We will be back with many more episodes. Your traditional early evening kind of arrival for the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast, and then some bonus episodes sprinkled in there throughout the rest of the day. So we're just trying to keep you constantly fed with new shows, new information, new stuff to listen to, new stuff to watch on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. So make sure you're subscribed to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and review there on your podcast platform of choice. Same thing for Buckeye Weekly. Tony Gerdeman and I doing a bunch of bonus shows this week. Leave us a 5-star rating and review there as well. And finally, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that bell to get notified when we do something live. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you get notified when we put up all these new videos. You always have something to watch as we're sort of counting down the days to Saturday. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.